Hello everyone, welcome to the Alchemy IAS NCERT live session. Today we will continue with Indian Polity NCERT classes. We have started from 6th standard NCERT classes. So in previous session we have covered chapter 1, 2, 3 and the last class was chapter 4 that covered with respect to the Panchayati Raj institution, Panchayati Raj system that we have in India. Now the next chapter that we have in this NCERT textbooks, that is the chapter 5, rural administration. So this particular chapter dealing with how the administration of the rural areas are managed or maintained. So it is dealing with the administration of rural areas or village areas. To explain this content in this chapter, it has given a story of two persons, Mohan, a character named here in this story, a Mohan in a particular village, and another character in this particular chapter given a story of Raghu. Raghu and Mohan, they are the person located, living, residing in a village and has an ownership of a particular land area and are involved in the cultivation of the agricultural field. So they are involved in a particular land dispute. By giving this example, this chapter is trying to explain how our village are administrated, how the rural administrations are maintained in India, how it functions. So we start with this paragraph, beginning from here the example. So here they started with an example of two characters, Mohan and Raghu. We'll just make sure that the pen is working here. We are starting from the first paragraph. You can see here, start with a dispute between the two persons in a village. So regarding it is a dispute over their land, the land area that they are owning. Like a quarrel in a village. Mohan is a farmer and his family own a small agricultural field in which they have been farming for many years. Next to his field, that is near to that field, there is another land owned by Raghu. So Raghu's land which is separated from his by a small boundary. So the land area, the field of Mohan is demarcated with a boundary wall or small boundary, and that land, another land near to this region is owned by Raghu. He is also belonging to the same village. But on one morning, Mohan noticed that Raghu had shifted the bound by a few feet. That is, there was an extension of the boundary of the previous, the area. So earlier there was a boundary demarcation between the Mohan land and Raghu's land. Now one day when Mohan came to this particular field, he noticed that Raghu had shifted the bound of that particular area, an extension, and taking the land of Mohan, and that increased the size of the Raghu's land. So now this is dispute, now a suspicion and allegation that is making by Mohan against Raghu. That is, according to Mohan in this passage, in this story, saying that Raghu extended his area by extending some of the feet of that land towards Mohan's land. So now this issue raised here, a dispute between Mohan and Raghu. The story continues here. Then Mohan was very angry and but also a little frightened. The reason was Raghu's family owned many fields other than this, and his uncle was also a sarpanch of the village, a president of that village panchayat. But even though that Mohan plucked this up courage and ready to file a complaint or ready to raise this issue in appropriate authority. So that is what this particular paragraph mentioned. Even though the Raghu, then their family had a large number of lands, more areas ownership, and had an influence in the village administrations, that is sarpanch. The sarpanch of the village is an uncle of Raghu. Even though Mohan, he plucked up with courage and went to the Raghu's house for raising the issue. A heated argument was there between these two persons. Raghu refused to accept that he had moved the bound. So Raghu was not ready to accept the allegation made by the Mohan. So he had moved the bund. So he called one of his helper and they began shouting at Mohan and beating him up. So this conflict between these two through this argument, later leading into violence here and beating him up. That is, Mohan got beaten by Raghu and their helpers. So neighbor heard the conversation and rushed into the spot where Mohan was being beaten and they took him away. So a conflict was raised here over the land dispute. Mohan was arguing there and Raghu was also responding. Raghu was not ready to accept the point that was mentioned by the Mohan in this particular case. So this is a case, a dispute is here between the two persons. A civil dispute over the land case, ownership of the land, an extension of the land. Now, the next story will continue here. He was badly hurt on his head and hand. Some injuries were there. He was given first aid as well by the nearby people who are residing in that region, neighbors. So his friend who also ran the village post office. So they went to the village post office, and the village post office, from the village post office, they suggested Mohan and their friends to report this case into the local police station, since there is an involvement of the violence, an act of violence was there. So they can report this dispute to the local police station in that village. So they suggested to report a case in their local police station. Then in this case also people or the neighbor or the friends of the Mohan are confused. Some of them agree that yes, we have to go to police station, some others are not agree. No, we don't have to go to. If you are going to the police station, it will take much more time. So somebody was disagreed to take this effort to go to the police station for filing a case, because they thought that if we go to the police station, it would be the waste of the money and also the time. But some people were, that is, we have to complain this particular case in police station, maybe might have, that is, Raghu's family would have already went to the police station to get this claim that is favoring towards them, since they have a lot more influence in this local authority. So some of the people agreed to go to that police station. Finally, Mohan was ready and Mohan went to the police station. You can see after much discussion, it was decided that Mohan would go to the police station along with some of the neighbor who had seen in this incident. So then the next passage start with the what happening at the area of that particular police station. So here now Mohan went to the police station for filing the case. The police station located in that region, why do we have to report this particular case in their village? So some people had a discussion regarding why can't we go and file this case in town area, why we are going to the village level, the local area police station. This question was raised by one person within these neighbors. Then the responding to that question was, it is not about the money that we have, it is about each police station in our rural area, in our town area has its own jurisdiction. If any case involved or that case happen in a particular place, the case can be filed only a police station where it has a jurisdiction in that regions. Only when a police station has a jurisdiction of the case to be here, those police station, that police station only, we can report or we can file the case. That is why in this case, since this case is involved between Mohan and Raghu that happened in a particular village here, and they can report this case to the police station that is located in their village. So that way they are going to the police station of that particular area. So this is a system that we had in criminal justice reform system. Recently, we had seen a news with respect to new criminal law enacted by the parliament, like Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita was replaced with the formal name of Indian Penal Code. Then another criminal law that we have in India, Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Samhita, the former name was Criminal Procedure Code. Then Indian Evidence Act, now the new name was Bharatiya Sakshi Adhiniyam. These were the three new criminal code law enacted recently and enforced by the government. Under this criminal procedure code, Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Samhita, there was an initiative, a new introduction of EFIR was also introduced. So earlier we had a system of registration of the case for the first time in police station was called as FIR. That is, any case can be registered only in a police station, that police station has a jurisdiction, the case that it was involved. But now that has been changed, even any police station, if they understood and they identified the case is an important, relevant, important case that involved the violation of the right or criminal acts, such a case can be filed in any police station irrespective of the jurisdiction through EFIR. Once EFIR is registered, then this FIR will be forwarded to concerned police station, then that concerned police station can register FIR officially. This system of the EFIR option is introduced through new criminal law. So, you have to update in your NCERT, even though we are following the new NCERT recently released by the Indian our education system, but in education syllabus, but even though this has not mentioned specifically with respect to EFIR and FIR, the comparison between the two. This is an addition of the NCERT chapter here. We will continue. So, this was the discussion they have mentioned in this particular paragraph. And every police station you can see here as an area that comes under its control. All persons in that area can report the cases or inform the police station about any theft, maybe accident, maybe injury, maybe fight or conflict, etc. Then this police station located in that area has a responsibility of, in order to investigate this case, after registering FIR, they will go for inquiries, they will visit the place and they will conduct investigation. According to this investigation, they will make a charge sheet and that charge sheet will be presented into court of law. If anybody is involved in this case, such a person can be arrested, then they will take action. Accordingly, this is the way that police will maintain law and order maintenance of that region. So, police department, the police station is responsible here in order to ensure the enforcement of the law, maintenance of the law and order. So, police station in a rural area is part of the rural administration. So, with this example they are trying to say and trying to describe there is a police station in a village area in order to ensure that the maintenance of the law and order. Next, we will move on to next one. The work at the police station, how the police station will work in a rural area in this particular area. So, work at the police station, when they reached the police station, you can see here, when they reached the police station, Mohan went to the person in charge. The station in charge was named as Station House Officer or SHO. This is the person who is in charge of in that police station and told him what had happened. Then he also said that he wanted to give a written complaint in that police station regarding the dispute. But the SHO, you can see, rudely brushed him aside and saying that he couldn't be bothered to waste his time writing down minor complaint. So, initially the SHO who is in charge of this police station to report a case was not ready to take this complaint seriously, rather was ignoring and saying that I don't want to take this case very like minor kind of cases, I will be like it would be resulting in my wastage of my time, I am not interested in this case. He is not ready to make a complaint or write a complaint here, even though the Mohan was there and approaching the police station to file the case in written format, but the police officer in charge, the SHO, is not ready. Once FIR is registered, only the investigation can go. So, that is why the SHO was refused to take this case initially. Then Mohan was puzzled and did not know what to do. Then he was not sure why his complaint was not being recorded. So, this is the incident that we have experienced in Indian context. In many police stations, whenever people go for filing a complaint, usually when the officer is not good in terms of administration, efficiency and impartiality, they are not taking such matters seriously, or the communication or the proficiency of their official duty sometimes may refuse to perform some certain duties. So, the same incident was given here, that is initially the officer in charge should perform his duty whenever any case was filed or complained either in written or oral format, but police officer was refused to perform the duty. So, then that is a dispute, that is an issue that is also highlighted in this particular case. Then he was confused why the police officer in charge SHO is not ready to write and consider the case that he was reporting to that police station. Next. Then finally, with the help of the friend, you can see Mohan with the help of the friend and discussed the matter, and finally they agreed that even though that they insisted the police officers to take this report because Mohan was beaten up by the Raghu and his helper. So, if it would have resulted into a kind of injury which would be harmful maybe for health, maybe resulting into maybe a death maybe. So, this is the reason the serious issue might have been involved. So, that they are insisting the police officer SHO to take this case seriously and to report. Then only after the insisted, after the neighbor, after the friends of the Mohan who insisted the police officer, then only the police officer finally agreed to report this case. Then he asked Mohan to write down this complaint and told the people that he would send a constable in the next day to investigate the incidents. Once FIR is registered, and he told the people that we will send a constable to your area in order to observe and see what happened there. So, he will come to that area where the incident happened. This was the Response from the police officer in charge of that police station, SHO, to the friend and Mohan. Now, next part, as part of the rural administration, in this chapter cover with respect to maintenance of land records. So, this particular case given above is an example of land dispute between two persons, Mohan and Raghu, over their land ownership. So, who will maintain the land record of a village area? That is what they are trying to explain through this paragraph. You saw that Mohan and Raghu were arguing heartily whether the common boundary of their field had been shifted. Isn't there any way by which they could have settled this dispute in a peaceful manner? Is there any other way? Like either if you have keeping a record of the land record, in this record we can easily understand and see that is this is the area that Mohan has an ownership and this is the land area belonging to Raghu. So, then we can address or we can settle this dispute in a peaceful manner. So, who will record the land area, the ownership of the land of these village regions? So, that is what this particular paragraph trying to explain. Okay, next moving on. So, here involved whenever we are going to record a land, so it involves measuring of the land, keeping that record, and main work of that, this is a task that done by Patwaris. Patwari in some village, some region it is called as village officer, or different name is given in different part of the country, Lekpal and Kanunko, then another name is also there. You can see here in NCERT, Karamchari. Usually, for example, in southern state mostly you can see the name village officer. So, Patwaris. So, these village officers are responsible for the measurement of the land, recording this land, and the land recording, maintenance of this land records is the responsibility of the revenue officer at the village level known as village officer. So, they are the officer, sometime in India usually called as Patwaris, and each Patwari is responsible for a group of villages and they will maintain the land record, revenue officer. So, then the map and the corresponding details from the register, that is next page, are small part of the record that kept by Patwari. So, all the detail will be provided in that particular record. If any dispute is between two person or more person, then such a dispute can be settled through observing and checking the verification through the land record maintained by the village officer or Patwari. So, this is what this particular paragraph trying to explain. So, again more continues with the Patwari. The Patwari usually has the ways of measuring agricultural field. They not only measure the land and also mention whether it is an area belonging to agricultural field, what are the crop it has cultivated here, like this report will be there. These records will be maintained by them. So, places along the chain used in this above instances, Patwari would have measured both Mohan's and Raghu's field and compared them with the measurement on the map. If they did not match, then it would be clear that the boundary of the field has been changed. So, main allegation from the part of Mohan was there was an extension of the boundary line from Raghu towards the land of the Mohan. So, there was an extension and increase in the size of the Raghu without the consent of the another person Mohan. So, if this dispute was there, it can be easily resolved if there was a land record which shows that which are the land area or the field or agricultural field belonging to Mohan or belonging to Raghu. Clearly, it can be said, it can be clearly examined with reference to this land record maintained by the village officer Patwari. So, that is why the Patwari land record maintenance is important here in village area in order to resolve the disputes peacefully in matters like land disputes. And here more content, Patwari. The Patwari is also responsible for organizing the collection of land revenue. You can see here, each person owning a particular land has to pay certain tax, land tax. So, these tax will be collected as a land revenue will be collected by the Patwaris at the village level. So, every person who is owning particular land, some amount as a tax system, the tax has to be paid to the village officer, and the collection of the land revenue through this will be the responsibility of an organizing, and responsibility will be taken by Patwari, the village officer. So, providing information to the government regarding about the agricultural crop that are cultivated in that area. It will also provide the collection of the revenue, that is this village officer will collect the revenue from the farmers and will also provide the information to the government about the crops which are grown in this area, because they will record the areas like which are the crops are cultivated in this particular land which is owned by a particular A, B, C, D or XYZ persons. So, farmers may change their crop grown on the field, or someone may dig a well in somewhere. All these aspect will be recorded in this land maintenance record by the village officer or patwari. This is an example which they illustrated in this particular chapter regarding the record maintained by a village officer. The Kasra record is a village, in Kasra village of the patwari gives you information regarding the map given below. It identifies which plot of the land is owned by whom. Look at both the records and the map and answer the question given below regarding Mohan and Raghu's land. So, this is the illustration of the picture of the records that the patwari would keep, the land records, land maintenance records. Here it is particularly with respect to the case that we have read in the previous paragraph with respect to dispute between the two persons Mohan and Raghu. So, these are the land area owned by Mohan. You can see here. So, series number 1, 2, 3 order are given here. So, one person Mohan, the area of the hectare that is owned by Mohan was 0.75. The ownership is with Mohan. If it is rented or some, it is not given for any rental services. Area cultivated in this year. So, particular year, the area cultivated, the crop grown in this field is soybean. The area total amount is total area of 0.75 and no other crop is, because the area is very limited and owned by Mohan. Then Mohana is owned. The next is second crop. Any other second crop is grown here. Mohana. Then area not cultivated. Then another character in this story was Raghu. The ownership with Raghu, who is the son of the Ratan Lal. Address is there. The area that they have an ownership of 3 hectare. It is not also given for rental services. The crop are soybean, wheat, irrigation. The total area which they cultivate this area is 2.75 and remaining 1.75 for secondary crop is also grown. Then well is there. These are the details which are given in this particular land records, and here also you can see a map of the land is also illustrated in that land records. So, which are the area belonging to like Mohana and which are the area belonging to Raghu. This story is also provided, the data are provided, pictorial representation of the map of the land is also provided here. So, the area you can see here, boundary, well, grassland, Kacha road, Pakka road. Pakka road is metalled road, Kacha road means unmetalled road. All the details are clearly provided in the land record. If any dispute is there between Mohana and Raghu, these issues can be resolved through checking this land record maintained by the patwari. So, this will help resolving the issue peacefully. That is what the particular paragraph trying to explain. Moving to next. So, this is the responsibility of the revenue department of the government in maintaining of the land record and collection of the revenue. So, in India you can see all states in India are divided into districts for managing the matters related to land, and these districts are again further divided into Tahsildar, taluks. So, the person who is heading this tahsil or taluk we would call they are like tahsildars. The person who is heading the district administration is called as a district collector. It is evolved from the British rule. So, district collector at the district level he is the head, and below there are revenue officer, including at the subdivision like tahsildar will be there. So, these are the revenue officer. So, they will supervise the work of the patwaris. So, below lower level we have patwaris. So, top head is the head of the district administration revenue department is district collector. Below we have tahsildar at the subdivision of the district level. Then we have patwaris at the village level. So, they will supervise work of patwaris and ensure that the records are properly kept and land revenues are collected. Then farmers can easily obtain the copy of their land records. Students can also get their relevant important caste certificates for their educational purpose from these offices, because certain caste certificate, some other certificates are granted by the village level or tahsildar level offices by considering this land ownership, land revenue that is a person is earned. So, by verifying all this process, these officers sometimes will give the certificate authorization, caste certificate authorization. So, these are the way that easily we will get all this record. For example, for farmers they have to get the land record for maybe for applying maybe a loan, maybe for getting a benefit under the government schemes. In some purpose farmers would require this land record to submit a document in order to get any benefit under the government scheme or any other purpose for financial assistance. So, this is the reason that farmers require this land record as well, not just for the maintenance of the lands, not just for resolving the dispute. Other than that, it will also benefit the farmers in order to get financial assistance, loan, and also for any benefit under any government scheme for the farmers. Now usually all these data records, that land record, everything is, most of the states you can see that it is mostly computerized, digitalization, digital governance. So sometimes these land records are available at the Panchayat office also. So usually the farmers can easily get it not only from the village level office or Tehsildar level office, rather this land record, since it is digitalized in some of the state, will be available at the Panchayat. That is, will make them farmers make easily available these records. So this will help the farmers. Some of the examples are given, and it was given a task for the student in school level to identify the purpose that farmers record this land. And here in this chapter, a quote or here in this particular write up of a titled as a daughter wish. Here is also a dispute in gender discrimination in terms of ownership of the land. That issue is discussed through these particular statements, or a kind of like, it is like a source they got it from Deflection on My Family. Anjali Monterio, a TIS, from TIS they have written a particular paragraph here, a particular statement here. Father inherited our house from his father, like a poem, and everyone says that he will leave it to Badra. But what about me and my mother? To accept a share in my father's home is not very womanly, I am told. But I really want a place of my own, not a dowry of silk and gold. So what this particular passage or poem is trying to explain, trying to point out that the issue in regarding the ownership of the land in terms of gender. So whenever we consider the historical or the social structure that we have here, the society that we have here, mostly from the previous generation to the next generations, whenever they transfer the land from the father to their next generations, usually, or parents to the next generation, usually this father will have the ownership, mother does not have. And the next generation, the son will get the more share of the land, or entire share of the land will be conferred to the male member of that family, son of that family. So usually the ownership of the land was conferred to the son, not to the women. So this gender discrimination was the issue that is highlighted in this particular statements. So then this chapter discusses regarding the issue of this area. Whenever the ownership of the land, right to the property, that area is discussed here. Later, the government of India enacted a law in 2005 to ensure that equal ownership of the land. Hindu Succession Amendment Act of 2005. Already we had Hindu Succession Act, that is regarding a matter law that enforce inheritance of property for men and women. In 2001, again it was amended to ensure that women are seen as people, like women should get a right, equal right in terms of inheritance of property from their family. Because the issue is often whenever we think about farmers, who is owning actually land, we usually mostly think about men are farmers, men are owning this land. Women are seen people as who work on the field. So usually we expect that women should work in the field, they cannot own any property, even it's a farmer's or agricultural field. But men usually can own an ownership of the property, and they have the ownership, they can enjoy all the benefit out of that. But not as people who more agree. But we the people are not seeing any woman as an owner of a particular land. Till recently in some state, Hindu women did not get the share in the family agriculture land. So land matters are as a civil dispute. So today in India, we don't have any uniform civil code law in order to regulate and govern the system of civil disputes. That's why in this particular case, it is specifically given a matter inheritance of property, particularly with respect to one religion, Hindu, because other religion follow their subjective law. But here, in order to ensure gender equality in terms of the ownership of the land, inheritance of property, right to property, here this law was particularly dealing with the Hindu religious community. That way this is mentioned in this particular paragraph. So that you can see, till recently in some state, Hindu women did not get a share of the family agriculture land. After the death of their father, their property was divided equally only among his sons. If they are male member, they will get the share of the land. If they are women or female, will not get the share of the land. So this is a dispute that we have seen in India. So that's why the law was amended here. Then the law changed, and new law, sons, daughter and their mother in Hindu family can get equal share in the land. So this law ensure gender equality in terms of the inheritance of property from one family to the next generations. So this law applied to all state, union territory, but only affecting the community belonging to Hindu religious community. Since we don't have uniform civil code law, that is a law that will cover matter with respect to civil dispute including land. So this is what the issue is covered here. You can see this law will benefit a large number of women. For example, Sudha is the eldest daughter of an agriculture family. She is married, live in a neighboring village. After her father death, Sudha often comes to help mother with the farming work. A story was given about Sudha, and her mother was asked the Patwari to transfer the land and enter her name along with the name of all the children in his record. Sudha's mother confidently organized the farming with the help of the younger brother and sister. Similarly, Sudha also lives with the assurance that if she ever has a problem, she can always depend upon her share of the lands. So this is how this story was here given in order to ensure that we understood the concept of gender equity through this legislation, that government established that whenever we distribute a land to the next generations, next year of the family, it should be distributed equally between the gender, respective of giving more share to one gender. Then here some boxes given here in order to understand what are the other public services that we have at the rural level for administrations. Here one was we have studied earlier in this paragraph was regarding the police station. So police station is responsible for an example maintenance of the law and order. Second was they have given the revenue department, they are responsible for maintenance of the land records. So what are the role of police station, what are the role of Patwari in maintenance of the revenue collections and maintaining of the land record. So this is the just example they have given. So I have given a task for the student in the school level to find out which are the other public services, public department that we can see in a rural areas. We already studied there is a government located enjoying an autonomy self-government power, which is local self-government known as Panchayati Raj system in village area. In this village area, the people will participate in this election, and there is a Gram Sabha. These are the topic that we have covered in the previous chapter of Panchayati Raj institution. In this particular chapter, it mostly covers the detail with respect to how an administration of rural area is conducted in India. For that, they have given an example of the police station, the dispute of the two characters Mohana and Raghu. These two conflict between two characters in the story was given in this particular passage to explain how a village or a rural area in India is administered. The administration of rural area in a particular region in India. So some questions were given here based on the paragraph. You can also go through this particular questions and you will get a more idea regarding what exactly covered in this particular chapter. We will go through the question anyway. First question was here, what was the work of the police? What was the work of the police? Mainly to ensure maintenance of the law and order. So if there is any complaint with us, maybe a theft was there, an accident was there, an injury was there, any crime has happened, any violence was happened, then the people of this region can go to the police station, can file a case. And according to that, the police should receive and report the case accordingly, and they should inquire the case and investigate and should take action against that incident. List two things that the work of the Patwari include. Like one was recording of this land owned by each persons and also responsible for the collection of land revenue. The Patwaris, the certain responsibilities are mainly they are part of the revenue department, they have certain tasks to do. What was the work of Tahsildar? Tahsildar means in district level administration, the district head is district collector. Then for the administrative purpose, the district was again demarcated into subdivisions, like in subdivided level we have the tahsils or taluks. In this taluk we have a revenue officer named as Tahsildar. Again they are supervising and also ensure that the land record collections are done by the Patwaris. What issue is a person in that poem trying to raise? With this one I have discussed, that is a poem was there with that poem specifically point out the issue of a gender discrimination, particularly on an issue of inheritance of property. Usually whenever we distribute a property of a family, and mostly the ownership of the land was given to the son or male member in that family. They denied the right to own a property, a right to have inheritance of property to the female gender. So this gender discrimination was a major point that they were discussed in the poem. Do you think this is an important issue and why? So this was that questions. In what ways are the work of the Panchayat that you read about the previous chapter and work of the Patwari related to each other? So, with the local self government, we have local self government in India, we know that Panchayati Raj system, and this local self government had a power certain area, for example, collecting residential tax, that is resident tax, house tax. Similarly, this village officer at the village level, Patwari is also responsible for the collection of land revenue. So, some administrative level, there is a link between the Panchayat system at the village level. Similarly, the work of the Patwari who related to the work which they do in this village area. So, this is the question that is particularly connecting the previous chapter of Panchayat system and this chapter on rural administration. The next question, visit a police station and find out the work that police have to do to prevent crime and maintain the law and order in their area, especially during festival, public meeting, etc. So, this is a kind of again task was given to the student and observing the surrounding, the society that they have. According to this their observation, they can write an answer to this question. So, they are told the student to visit a police station. We sometime might have visited. How many of you have visited possibly police station any time? Sometime we might have visited, maybe for complaining a case, maybe sometime with related to any case we might have went to the police station for giving an information. So, whenever we go to the police station, we can see what they are doing. So, their duty is to prevent crime, to ensure law and order maintenance in that region which are currently enforced, so that they will ensure that the proper law are implemented, proper law enforcements are done in that particular region. So, whenever any crime, any incident happen, we will go to the police station and we will report that. If there is any festival, for example, we will report what festival is going on, how many people will come. So, they will verify and they will check this conducting or organizing festival, any meeting is held. So, that is this meeting, whoever is involved in that meeting, maybe sometime politicians, some important personality of the governments will come in this festival or public meeting, so that it has to ensure security of the people. So, for protecting the life and rights and security of the people, police should be deployed there. Police officer, some constable, some police officer will come in that place and will ensure that the safety of the people who are coming to this festival, people coming for the meeting. So, it is to prevent crime, it is to ensure maintenance of the law and order. Who is in charge of the police station in the district and find outs? So, district level we have the IPS rank officer, superintendent of the police. So, this is another level, that is you can also observe who will be the in charge of the police station at the district level. And what are the levels of the district level police station? Like the collector we have studied, and similarly below we have Tahsildar, then we have Patwari, village officer, like that. How do women benefit under the new law? That is, gender equality is ensured through the Hindu Succession Amendment Act of 2005. So, this question is related to that, that is right to property, regarding the inheritance of property. So, through this law it has ensured and restored the right of a woman. So, that is in terms of gender there should not be any discrimination. If they are also a daughter of their family, so they should also get equal share of the ownership of the lands. So, this is how the gender equality was maintained by this law. In your neighborhood, are there women who own property? How did they acquire it? So, another task was given to student to observe and study like the neighborhoods and who are all are owning a property. Then how did they acquire this property? This was a question that they have given to the student as a task. So, this is what this particular chapter in NCERT chapter 5 rural administrations topic is covered. So, next chapter will continue in the next session. Thank you all for watching this particular chapter and particular this video. We will continue with more session, and thank you all.